Hi, my name is Kathy, and you might know me from Channel 52, the Food Network, in the show Cooking with Kathy. Today, we will be making sushi, and our main ingredient will be imitation crab meat. You might ask why we eat imitation crab meat, and the main reason for that is it is way cheaper than real crab meat. The fish used in imitation crab meat is very abundant and relatively inexpensive to process. So that's why it would be more sustainable to use and maintain the diversity in our oceans. The fish paste, prior to making imitation crab meat, before we add the seasoning and the flavoring, is called surimi. And that's the Japanese word for fish paste. And this fish paste is much more compact than transporting fresh fish or fresh crab. So in this way, it's more economical to transport imitation crab meat and surimi than actual blocks of fish, frozen fish. How surimi is made is they take this cheap and inexpensive fish that's super abundant, and they mechanically debone it and remove the scales, the bones, the skin, and the fins. And then this meat is minced and washed, and through this process, fat is removed, but some of the fish protein is still in the surimi. The surimi takes much less space in a truck, so it is much more economical to transport. Now think about it as a sheet of paper. This is 200 sheets of paper, and it's this big, so you would have 200 sheets of surimi, and this could be a fish, and it's much more expensive to transport 200 of these than 200 sheets of paper. So this is the imitation crab meat that we are using today from the brand Northern King. Imitation crab meat is stored in vacuum packaging, and this actually increases the length of time it can stay in storage and reduces the amount of O2 from contacting the imitation crab meat. This is also kept in the freezer, so it's kept frozen, and that prevents the microorganisms from growing. And the packaging should also be sterilized prior. So the required labeling would be the common name here, which is the imitation crab meat, the net quantity, 250 grams, the name and address of the company, TFI Foods, Scarborough, Ontario, and the list of ingredients here, nutrition facts table, and a durable life date. There is no durable life date here because for the company to be required to add an expiry date is if the product, imitation crab meat, expires within 90 days. But the imitation crab meat will not expire within 90 days, and thus this is also another reason why many people will choose imitation crab meat over fresh crab. And now we will start using the imitation crab meat and learn how to make sushi. Hi! Alright, so now we will make sushi with Kathy. I have the rice prepared here, but this is sushi rice. 3 cups of rice in here with 4 cups of water and 75 milliliters of sushi seasoning. I have cucumbers. The main ingredient, imitation crab meat. As you can see, it's nicely individually packaged. And roasted seaweed. Up here, I went the extra mile and got Japanese mayonnaise. It's a little bit sweeter than American mayonnaise, and I love it. Just love it. Just love it. And I'll mix this rice a little bit. All right. So first, that's good. First, you take your roasted seaweed, take the shiny side down, and then we'll put the rice. You don't need too much, just enough to cover a half of the seaweed. Because if you put too much, your whole sushi bursts. And then I'll take the imitation crab meat. Also make sure you have a little plate of water here that you can dab your hands into so the rice doesn't stick to your hands. And this little imitation crab meat does not want to come out of its packaging, which means it was packaged very well. So I have one imitation crab meat here, and the second one right here. A few pieces of cucumber. And I'll also add a little bit of Japanese mayonnaise. Now I'm looking for my knife. Now we will roll up the sushi. I did not bring my roller with me, but this is easy enough to do ourselves. A little bit of water so it doesn't stick. And then at the very end, make sure you dab a bit of water on the lip of the seaweed so it will all stick together. And that, my friends, is how to make very, very average sushi. When you're ready to cut the sushi, make sure you dip your knife in water that we have prepared so your knife does not stick to the seaweed and the rice doesn't stick up to the knife, and that would make it very messy. But since I am a 3-star Michelin chef, I do not need the knife. I'll just use my hands. So there you have it. Perfectly cut and perfectly average sushi made by yours truly, Chef Kathy.